Sun combination, the Harpers, with a huge effort at the top, while the motorized pairing of Hutchison and Akeem Bergman were ready to pounce. The rest of the specials were just too far back to scare the top duo. At the start of the prologue, scheduled for 40 kilometers, severe-looking rain cloud had again gathered on the horizon after a long night of thunderstorms and rain. But that did not stop Bevan Berthold and Jeff Minott in the second Atlas Copco Porter. Hutchison and Bergman were up next, and the motorized bat was in fine voice. Their teammate and defending national champion Alfie Cox and co-driver Henny ter Steege came through next and were desperate for a win after a rather disappointing season. The Harpers, Nick and Ryan, were conservative but steadfast at the start. But with a pregnant cloud shedding bucket loads full of water, the river crossings were due to become a big problem. And we mean big. When Nardus Alberts and Henry Costain hit this, it was a stream. But later on... And the duo who were fourth on the championship log were also thirsting for a win. But as Shamir Varayawa and Siegfried Rousseau in their Total Motorsport Jimco approached a few minutes later, it had swelled considerably. Nahem and Rayan Bodiana, their teammates, were close by and charging. The Silwall Transport Zarko with its 5.7 Chev engine was also flying along in the hands of Karl-Heinz Silwart and Paul Helberg riding next to him. With the Century Properties bat of Colin Matthews and Alan Smith next, closely marked by the absolute bat pairing of Clint Gibson and Gary Campbell. Krobler and Jordan led the production car procession, with the rivers already much more swollen than they were 15 minutes earlier. While Mark Grenier and Chris Birkin had already remodified their Toyota 4-litre Hilux to a certain degree, and this was just a few Ks into the prologue. The rain started sifting down, and with the wipers blazing away, Foss and Pitchford were next by our cameraman's vantage point. Just a bit further up the road, Toyota Castrol's Bevan Berthold and Robin Houghton came scuttling by, and they were the last ones to make it. Because the river had put a rather premature halt to the prologue proceedings.
The prologue has been cancelled, and you guys will start in seeding order 30 seconds apart.
In a matter of 20-odd minutes, the little stream had grown to a mighty river.
There were torrential rains around the area last night, and when we checked the first river crossing this morning, it was quite passable, but at the time that the first car started, the river actually came down, and after 14 cars we determined that it would no longer be safe for cars to pass the river crossing, and there was not an easy way of diverting the cars around the river for continuation of the prologue. So I had no option but to actually cancel the prologue. So it's a bit of a pity for the 14 guys that actually did the prologue. That's now a bit wasted, but unfortunately in terms of safety we couldn't continue.
And that meant a revision to the starting order procedure.
The start will be in strict national seeding order with 30-second intervals between the cars, and they will now race on elapsed times and not race times as they are used to do.
This was met by agreement from most of the teams, including Ford's former champion and team manager Neil Woolridge.
Yeah, it's a funny situation, you know. We're sitting there with 40 seconds to go to the start, all hyped up, ready to go and rock and roll, and then they stop the prologue, you know. So, but I think in hindsight, probably the right thing to do. You know, when there's people's lives at stake, and the river was so high that cars are starting to get washed down and things like that, I think they made the right decision. Difficult decision because there's always going to be unhappy people, I'm sure, whichever way they do it, but I think safety always must got to come first.
For Varayawa and Rousseau, the rain came like manna from the heavens, and they were pretty pleased with the change.
It is a disappointing thing for a lot of the guys, but for us I think it's a benefit because we went out into the prologue good times, and 30 k's into the prologue, we had a puncture. So it took us 4 minutes to change. And had the prologue proceeded with, the guys proceeded with the whole prologue, we would have probably been in position 30, 35. So now by them discontinuing the prologue, and I think we'll be in the top 5 again. So it's good. According to seeding,
So you're quite happy?
I'm quite happy.
Vehicle and asset finance from ABSA. Going the extra mile to get you finance. Finance from ABSA. Going off the beaten track to find solutions.
With the prologue cancelled, it gave teams, drivers and navigators another chance to do those last-minute things that always get left behind or done in a hurry. And this time, there was more than enough time to do it all. The navigators got the racebook and the drivers got their marching orders, all ready to do battle after some more overnight rain. Gary Berthold was first off and had some reservations.
Look, the advantages are the other guys aren't churning up the route in front of you. The disadvantage is you're making the road for the other chaps. Nobody's been out there. They can follow clear tracks that we make. So I think it's going to be difficult. Also with the 30-second dust gaps, all they have to do is encroach slightly into our time and they've got us. So we have to keep very sharp today.
The Lydenburg Town Centre was closed and would remain so for the foreseeable future as the large crowd lined the streets to see the penultimate round of the ABSA Off-Road Championship.